Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Rig Crafting. I'm the Rig Crafting Dad, and in this episode I'm going to demonstrate upgrading the graphics card in our Johnsbow here to something a bit more powerful. In a previous video I showed upgrading it from no graphics card to the Radeon RX 550. That's what we have here. That's out. And here I'm going to demonstrate upgrading the NVIDIA 1660 Super and then go crazy and upgrade it with this 4070 Ti. We're going to start with the GTX 1660 Super. We're going to pull out our Radeon RX 550. But before we do, if you remember from my previous video, we upgraded the power supply in here with the Corsair 650 watt power supply. So that was getting us ready for our graphics card upgrade. So we have all of that we need to put this 1660 Super into our Johnsbow case. Alright, so we're ready to install our graphics card. What you're going to need is your trusty Phillips head screwdriver, obviously the graphics card, and from your power supply you're going to need the 8-pin PCIe cable. Alright, so we've got our case open, and on the back of this Johnsbow here, you can't see it, but there's a little flap here. We're going to unscrew that, flip that down, and then we're going to undo our Radeon graphics card. Now there is a tab down here at the bottom, and you're going to pull that little tab, and then you're going to pull up on the graphics card. It'll slide right out. You just set that aside. I've pre-run my power cable here. This is my 8-pin, so we're going to set that aside while we plug in the graphics card. Installing it is the opposite of taking it out. In our case, the 1660 Super actually is a dual slot graphics card, so we do have to remove another one of the panels back here. So we'll unscrew that second one, pull that out, and now we can install the graphics card. You're just going to line up that PCIe connector, and just with a little bit of pressure, press down, and there you go. And you'll put your two screws back in, and you'll close that little flap. And then lastly, you'll connect your power cable. This has two 8-pin power connectors. It really doesn't matter which one it is connected. So we'll just line those up. And you want the connector to go towards the clip on the back. There we go. The other side of this is, do not forget to plug in the other end of the power connector to your power supply, especially depending on your case. Getting it all closed up and hitting that power button, you'll be very sad when you power it on and nothing happens. So just be sure that you plug it into the power supply. Alright, so we're going to start installing our 4070 Ti. You're going to start by just unscrewing your graphics card from the back panel. And then you're going to remove your power cable. Just like that. And then you're going to hit the tab down here on your PCI Express slot and just kind of wiggle it back and forth and just pull up gently on it. And it should come right out. Alright, so we've got our graphics card out and we're ready to install our 4070 Ti. And one of the reasons I chose this Johnsbow is it can accommodate very large graphics cards. It says that it can accommodate up to 400 millimeters, which is pretty long. Our 4070 Ti is not that long, but it is 332 millimeters. So as far as GPU length goes, that's actually a really big graphics card. It's also a triple slot, so we're going to need to do two things. One, we actually need to remove another one of the panels from our back plate so we can accommodate that. And also, in a previous video, I showed you installing this USB-C connector into the front panel connector. Our 4070 Ti actually would cover that, and so we actually have to unplug that. And in some cases, depending on where your cables are, or if you're using an older motherboard like I am, you may have to lose some connectivity on the front panel or relocate your SATA connections to a different port to accommodate such a large graphics card. We have our prep done. Now we're going to first start by connecting our cable, and the 4070 Ti actually has a 16-pin connector, and it came with this connector. This is an adapter. You can see the 16 pins on this side, and then it has two 8 pins on that side. So we're going to connect the cables here before we install the graphics card. So we'll go ahead and do that. I have also removed the USB-C connector here so the graphics card can fit. And I've removed the third blank here so we can accommodate the 3 slots. I usually install the rear first. Line up your PCI Express slot, and then just with a little bit of pressure, seat it into place. And then we'll connect our 16 pin. And you want to make sure that this is well seated. Make sure that you've heard the click of the pin. Make sure that you've put some pressure on it to make sure it is in fact connected. There have been plenty of 16 pins that catch on fire. So depending on your model that you've installed, you just want to make sure that it is very secure. And make sure that your extra cable length here is not touching your fans. You don't want that grinding sound when you go to power it on. So just make sure it's out of the way. You want to put your screw in. Back here, secure it. In this case, close up the flap. And because this card is so long, you will want to install some kind of graphics card brace. And this card does come with one. I did not install it, but you can get creative with the things that hold up your graphics card. All right, we finished installing the 4070 Ti. We're going to fire this up and test it out.